questions to ask, right? I campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along, still the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South, they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to TACT-EAGLE, the show we talk about all the tactics and whatever we predict is going to happen in the upcoming game. Before we even get started, Dan, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Had a pretty similar day to yesterday, to be honest. Just chilled, been getting back into the gym. I had a little mini break, so I've been back at the gym this week. My arms feel a bit tired, but I'm all good. How are you?
All good. I'm feeling tired, but I haven't gone to the gym. It's just mental drain. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
But carrying on from that conversation that we had just before we went live, how did you think it was when researching this game?
I found it actually quite difficult to pinpoint Forest's exact tactics because, well, JC said like they seem to change how they play depending on who they play. Like when they play the big boys, they tend to play a 5 at the back or 3 at the back with wing backs or whatever. But then when they play like a team like ours, for example, they'll play 4 at the back. But even then, like I've seen them play a double pivot against like a mid-table side, for example. But then last week against Brentford, they played a 4-3-3. So I found it quite difficult to really pin down exactly what they're going to do, which is probably a tactic from Cooper, because obviously like if he's making Roy having to guess what he's going to do, it's going to be more difficult for Roy to be able to set up. So maybe it's intentional.
Yeah, whereas you look at it the other way around from Cooper's point, he's going to look at Roy's team and go, well, he hasn't changed the team at all. He's only losing players. He's going to play the same system.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is develop a method to get around this one system, because that's all Palace play.
No, yeah, exactly. And I think obviously we'll talk about it, but like we are quite hamstrung with the injuries that we do have.
Oh yeah, especially with Eze being out for 6 weeks now, which is a huge miss.
No.
Edouard is back, which is really the only kind of positive that is to take from it. And I guess that France is now in contact training.
Yeah, I mean, I think originally I think France was meant to be back for after the international break. I think around about the same time as Elise. I mean, judging from a lot of people on Twitter seem to be thinking that he might be in the squad. I mean, I'm not a physio, so I have no idea. So based on what is going on in the videos, I don't know how much of an indication of how ready that he is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say.
I would still not expect him to be in the squad at all. I'm seeing some people on Twitter saying start him on Saturday, and you're thinking, what? There's no way.
Yeah.
But I would maybe even a few games after the international break, just make it so he's 100% fit when he comes back, and we're not rushing him whatsoever, so that we know that there's probably little to no risk of him getting injured again immediately after.
Yeah, well, exactly that. And the kind of injury that he has got, from what I understand, it's like I think it's like an underlying like stress factor or something like that, where again, I'm not a physio, so I might have this wrong, but as far as I understand, it's not like an injury per se, but it's like a weakness within, like for some reason he's gotten this. It's not a thing that he's going to have for the rest of his life. It's only a temporary thing. Mm-hmm. But my understanding is that it's a thing that it's not an injury, but it could turn into an injury quite easily. So I think that would be another reason why they won't rush him back for Saturday, because if that goes, then he could be out for however long. Whereas if we just wait for another 3 or 4 weeks, then it's not going to be a problem at all.
Definitely. We can spin that in a good way as well. You are a Flamengo fan, so to all the Palace fans that don't exactly know what França could bring to us, could you give us a brief rundown of what he could bring to us when he's fully fit and ready?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got the potential. Like that, there's no doubt about that. I mean, Flamengo have put out some really good young players in the past 5 or 6 years, like Vinicius, Paquetá, Lazaro, who's recently moved to Spain, and they've got a few other young players as well. And France was the one that they were most excited about. One, I think he's got the talent, but he's also got a good head on his shoulders. He captained. I'm fairly sure he captained some of the youth teams, which for an attacking player, I think that's I feel like you have to go over and above as an attacking player to be a captain. He's got very good dribbling. He's able to pick out a good pass. My only thing to him would be, are you able to do this consistently? Because it's great being able to do it, say, once every 5 games or whatever, do something brilliant once every 5 games. How often can you do that? And especially going to the Premier League as well, how can you adapt to that? The Premier League is obviously I would say a stronger league. I don't think by much, to be honest. I would say the Brazilian league is probably not that dissimilar to like Ligue 1 or something like that. And, we've just had Cheikh Doucouré come from Ligue 1, and he's been good. I think for me, I don't really understand the comparisons with Wilfried Zaha because he's not really like that kind of player. And he never really played on the left for Flamengo, at least not starting anyway. He often usually played as more like to me, honestly, he reminds me more of like Eze. That's what I think. And to be honest with you, if I had my positive Crystal Palace hat on, it wouldn't surprise you that they expect Eze to leave next season. France will have had a year over here to adapt to the different footballing culture over here, and then he'll then be ready to kind of take Eze's place, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's my positive. Oh, Palace must have a plan, kind of thing. But obviously, that's all completely. I mean, I could. I've got no basis for that.
Well, we've seen what happened with Zaha, and we've seen that there's clearly no plan there. So how would we know that there's a plan with Eze?
Well, yeah, exactly. So, as I say, if I was being positive, that's what I would say. But yeah, but no, he's an excellent player. I did see that people said that he played in the second string at Flamengo. One, that's not entirely true. I think that is he did play because they play a lot more games over there. You do have to rest more often over there. So he would often play in the games where you might have a few players that rested, but at the same time, I don't think that's really relevant because they're still playing full strength sides. You have to remember that over there, Flamengo are one of the best teams over there. They've got loads of great players. Relatively speaking, they won the Copa Libertadores last season. So the fact that he's getting minutes as a 18-year-old in that kind of team, I think, is still good. So yeah,
definitely. Well, let's get back to Nottingham Forest now. So clearly going from Brazil to the middle of England. But there's as we said, it's hard to judge what they're going to play. But I went with a more forward to back formation. But let's go into what our predicted 11 would be for Nottingham Forest. So, here we go. For Crystal Palace, I've gone with Sam Johnstone, Mitchell, Gay, Anderson, Ward, with Hughes, Doucouré, and Schlupp in midfield, with Eddie on the left, Ayew on the right, and JP up top. Dan, what are you saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And I think that formation wouldn't work too badly either, because then I could see Schlupp and Eddie maybe swapping over during the game, or in phases of play. Eddie, and then they can swap. I think that would be not too bad. The only thing I would throw in there, but I don't think Roy would do this at all. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Gyro given a go in Schlupp's role.
What, in the 10?
Yeah, just because I don't think Schlupp's really done it, and I think I don't see how Gyro could be worse, to be honest. That's literally like my only thinking there.
Well, to be fair, I'd probably say outside of Anderson, Gay, and Decore and Hughes, maybe, I'd probably say that Gyro is probably our next best passer of the ball in that team.
Yeah, and I think I feel like when he came on against United and he basically played Schlupp's role on that left-hand side, I actually thought he did pretty well. I thought he linked up the wings quite well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting to like bomb forwards and like overlap or anything like that, but I just thought he linked the play better than Schlupp did, and I think just for the time being, I don't think that would be a bad thing to have.
Yeah, I think he's much more composed on the ball, whereas Schlupp, to me, panics a bit and doesn't really know what he's doing most of the time.
Definitely. And I was talking to someone on Twitter earlier, I think it was Sumo, and he said it very well. He said like, oh, if you give Schlupp something that he doesn't really like have to think about, then he's really good at it. Like for me, I think Schlupp's great at receiving the ball face to goal, running, and then having a shot. He's brilliant. But once he starts having to do stuff that requires like thinking about like his position and stuff like that, I think it just kind of goes out the window a little bit.
It doesn't it just does.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest lineup. So we spoke about it a little bit earlier, that if they play against a big team, they'll play 3 at the back / 5 at the back. And then if they play a mid-table team or someone that they feel like they don't have to defend as much against, they'll sort of switch to a more 4 at the back kind of formation. But with the injuries that they've only got 2. There's Danilo and Tavares. So both attacking players, which they are missing. Danilo's a good sort of attacking midfield option, and Tavares was meant to be their new like left wing back kind of player. But they did get in Ola Aina in to cover at left back, but that is a great buy from them because he can cover left and right back, and he's decently good at both. So from seeing how they've been playing lately, I've gone with this starting 11 for them. I've got with Matt Turner in goal. I'll just throw this in here. Broski gave away a penalty against Brentford. I don't care what anyone says. That was a penalty.
Oh, 100%. How that wasn't given, I don't know.
The centre-backs are very hard to pick as well because they just change every single time. Basically, both of these centre-backs could be a combination of Murillo, McKenna, Bowley, and Worrell.
Yeah. Yeah.
All 4 of them, they just interswap in and out. You really don't know who it is. I guess I don't watch Forest, so if Forest fans are watching, please don't kill me in the comments. But in my personal opinion, I'd probably say Bolly and McKenna is probably their strongest centre-back duo that they could field. Obviously, I don't know the other guys very well, so it could be not this. With RHEA and Aina filling in at the fullback roles, with Sangare and Mangala sort of as like a double pivot, I would say. Mangala's normally the one that will just sit, tuck in, and the rest will happen. Sangare is mainly a 6, but he has been playing as more of an 8 role for them so far this season. So I'd probably expect this midfield to be something similar to what our midfield was like under Vieira. They had a 6, 8, and a 10.
Yeah.
And then in the attacking midfield option, I've got Morgan Gibbs-White, but that comes with a caveat of Dominguez. Don't know where they found this guy, but he's Argentinian and he looks great as a 10. So I don't know. This guy's he's like Ayew, but in attacking midfield. He's got so much energy and he's got end product as well. So he's probably one to watch out for. He's actually been making Cooper drop Morgan Gibbs-White because of how well he's been playing lately. but just purely because I actually know more about Morgan Gibbs-White, I've put him in here, and also he hasn't had that much game time lately, so potentially he might have something to prove. Normally plays pretty well against us, so that's my reason behind that. Front three picks itself. Iwonyi, probably one of the most informed strikers in the whole Premier League right now, scoring goals for fun, assisting goals, just an all-round great player. Callum Hudson-Odoi on the left and Anthony Elanga on the right. Dan, what are you saying about this team? You agree?
Yeah,
You change it?
yeah. That was very, very similar to what I had. I think I had Murillo in for instead of McKenna, but yeah, pretty much. That's
And also Toffolo down here as well. He's more of an attacking option for left back. So if Aina's not doing it, Toffolo would probably play as well.
Well, just to address the comments quickly, just because they're Aina's injured. I didn't, because we use the Premier League injuries.com list, and he's not on there. So yeah.
Oh,
so
okay. So in that case, in the bin.
Bye, Aina.
Bye, Aina.
Chris,
Welcome, Toffolo.
Do you think Toffolo will play there? And then, if not McKenna, which centre back do you think will play there?
Probably Worrell, right?
Yeah. And also, big up the chairman. How you doing?
I don't know if that's how you spell it, but I'm hoping for the best.
Lovely shirt, JC. I totally agree.
Of course, Dan. Not too bad yourself.
Thank you very much.
We always knew you were Brazilian anyway.
And
he's saying Dominguez will start. So clearly, my praise for Dominguez is noted. Murillo, he says, will start.
Yeah, I mean, he started last week against Brentford.
Okay, well, obviously for the rest of this, my other tactics boards will say McKenna on it. So if we want to change that to Worrell, then yeah, as I said, don't kill me. What should we do? What should we do?
Just want to say big up to Earth.
Big up Earth.
How you doing?
As always.
And big up Palace Haunter, one of my favourite Pokemon.
What's that, Haunter, right?
Yeah, classic. I remember bumping into Haunter in the Ghost Town back in the day.
Yeah, I always prioritize getting a Gengar when I was starting out.
Oh yeah, nice.
That Shadow Ball and Thunderbolt was OP. Anyway, we're not a Pokemon channel unless you want us to be. No, I'm joking.
Newcastle winning apparently, and Chris is saying Toffolo left back.
All right, let's talk about first how Nottingham Forest would set out to attack us. So how we can defend against them. So I'll take the lead on this one today. Obviously, as I normally say, there are bare colours and arrows, so I will let you know what I'm thinking. But I'm not saying that they are long ball, but I'm just saying it works for them. Forest set out to try and activate a mid block, for example. So they would rather us step out a little bit, give them space to run in behind so they can create some link-up play, fast passes, one-touch passing to make their way up the pitch. They've got some people that are very good with the ball at their feet. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Dominguez on instead of Gibbs-White, because Dominguez's role is very, very, very important with how they attack. So obviously this is kind of a little bit of how they defend, but it sort of works into their attack as well. How they press is sort of a way in how they initiate attacks as well. So what will happen is, obviously, if we've got the ball, let me get a ball. Let's get a ball. Make it bigger so it's easy to drag around.
Pause.
Oh, damn. Don't worry, it's not going to be as bad as the Premier League review.
Oh, mate.
Henry's not here, so it's all good. Anyway, so imagine we're passing the ball around, chilling, waiting for something to happen. But what will happen is something is slightly a little bit strange. The striker, Iwonyi, he won't really press. He'll try and cut the passing lines in between the centre backs and the midfielders. And obviously, you're thinking that's not really something you'd expect a striker to do. But it makes a lot of sense when I tell you what Dominguez does. He's the 10, and this guy, basically, this whole area that I'm highlighting here, he will arrive anywhere. Wherever the ball goes, he's running after it. The ball here, he'll still run after it. Oh, wait. No, yeah. He will run after the ball no matter who's got it. If it's over here, it's over here. He will appear anywhere on this pitch. And from the short amount of time I've actually researched him, this guy don't get tired. So he's everywhere. He's got a good tackle on him, so he's very good at pressing. I think pressing with intensity is sort of that extra part that you need to know with him. He will put defenders under pressure. And to be fair, with how we're passing around at the back these days, or even through the pitch without some key players like Lerma and Eze, for example, this could be a really big problem for us. Because at the best of times, we're not the most composed team on the ball. But if you've got people like Elanga pressing, Hudson-Odoi pressing, Iwonyi cutting passing lanes, and Dominguez just being on your case 24/7, we're going to have to be on top of our game when just passing around today. Granted, if we find ourselves in this kind of situation, if we can find a line-breaking pass, we've taken out 4 of their players instantly. So definitely pros and cons to how they play, but that's just the first thing that I'd say. With what we say about Route 1, I wouldn't say it's exactly Route 1 because they will pass through, but it will always be a ball in behind. For example, they might hit it into Iwonyi, he'll knock it back, but then he'll instantly spin and run. So they're always trying to get in behind, they're trying to be on the run, they're trying to hit with pace. They never really break down a team slowly, if that makes sense. They'll always try and hit you on the break, slow the game down, and then instantly ramp up the pace the second that they've starting an attack.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say Buddy's got the ball here. Anderson will probably be touched tight to Iwonyi. He'll make a run. Obviously, Anderson will go with him, but Buddy's good enough to put the ball in front of Iwonyi, and he's good. And Iwonyi's strong enough and good enough to keep Anderson on the wrong side of him, and then potentially get a shot on goal.
Yeah.
Also, Iwonyi is very good at corners and set pieces just because he's massive, and that is a pause. That is a big pause.
No comment.
But the thing is with Forest, they are a very physically strong team, very physically tall team.
Oh yeah, very quick, very got a lot of pace in there as well.
Pace and power as well. And
I didn't realize how quick like when I can't remember what game I watched, but I didn't realize how quick he was. Like he's
Man United when he just ran away from everyone, didn't he?
Yeah,
when he was put through.
I didn't realize he was that quick, and I think if he gets on Anderson's side, I think that could give us a problem.
I think Gay's got the pace to keep up with him.
Yeah,
but he's gonna be smart and he's gonna situate himself on Anderson.
Yeah, exactly. And thing is, if then Gay's got to then try and cover that, then you've got Elanga wanting to come inside.
Elanga's there. Dominguez will be there. Hudson-Odoi will be overlapping on the other side of the pitch because this run here, Hudson-Odoi's got that all day over Ward.
Yeah,
all day. Granted, we did say that Rashford would have Ward's number, and we saw what happened there. But if we're being true to ourselves, we know that Ward cannot handle his kind of pace.
I think what gave Ward the edge last week was I think Ayew was very good in what he did in helping to basically force Rashford on his left foot, and I think that's what nullified him. So we're going to need Ayew to do something similar again, really.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, this ball from Bowley, Elanga, he's done it at Man United, and I think Man United is probably missing a guy like Elanga right now because he makes straight runs and also curved runs. And this run he's done many times. He basically sort of fades along the side of the pitch, and then he puts the burns on and sort of swoops through. It's sort of a like because he's sort of moving between Mitchell and Gay's areas. It's sort of like the second he puts the burns on, both of them, they're not really tracking him because he's sort of in no man's land. So someone's going to have to take responsibility and maybe block this. But if you do that, then Dominguez will go through. So having a very free-flowing front line is what I would probably say best describes Nottingham Forest. Obviously,
Yeah,
when
for
they're in
sure.
attack, they do go into this sort of three at the back formation. The fullback where the ball is will go up as well. So, for example, if the ball's over here with Elanga,
Yeah,
RHEA will go up and they'll swap into this three at the back formation. Whereas if the ball's over this side with Hudson-Odoi, it'll be Aina, the one over here, and then the whole line will switch across and RHEA will fill in at the back here.
One thing I did notice, which I thought was quite interesting, and it was I thought I was a bit surprised that I saw it, was I noticed that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes Aurea kind of inverts a little bit and then comes into the midfield, which allowed Sangare to like push, like to be a bit more like where Hughes is, for example. And then that was just another interesting thing that I noticed on the build up, which kind of surprised me a little bit because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. With this nice blue triangle that we've got here, we love triangles, but this is just an example of how Forest would make ways to retain the ball. So, for example, if Mangala's got the ball and he turns and he's got no passes on, everyone's being covered, they'll sort of play a thing of he'll keep the ball, he'll wait for someone else to make a move, such as Aina in this situation, and then you've got a nice little triangle here so you can play your way out of a tough situation. So it's sort of like a pass and move mentality.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they switched the ball very quickly is something that I think we need to be very wary about.
Yeah.
They done it for their goal, not for their goal, but Elanga missed a chance. But the way how they switched the ball so quickly was... The thing is, they didn't even ping it. I feel like what they'd done was actually faster than just sending the ball one pass over. So, for example, I think Hudson-Odoi had the ball, and he was taking on whoever the defender was. So he was taking him on. Iwoni came short. He popped the ball into Iwoni. While this was happening, Dominguez made a run straight through the middle, which took the centre-back. Obviously, as he passed the ball into Iwoni, he followed the run up. Iwoni popped it back, and he first time fizzed it into Elanga's run.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Elanga took 2 touches and had a shot here. But the thing is if you look at the chance again, Dominguez was the right side of the centre-back. Iwoni was filling up at the back. Like, obviously he missed just, and it would have been a nice goal if he did score it, but the fact that he had 2 options to go sideways as well was pretty scary, because the way how this ball just sort of went pop, pop, sort of went pop, pop, and then straight in here, in a very short space of time as well, it's got to be something we've got to be a little bit scared of, at least.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I do agree. Like in terms of like how they like when Forest are most dangerous, at least from what I've seen, is when teams are kind of caught off a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And like
there's just sort of like downtime in the game.
Yeah, and they've got space to like run into. The only time I think Forest do struggle a little bit is when the team is in a low block. Like, I mean, I only watched the first half of the game against Brentford, but there wasn't really a lot of chances in that first half, at least from what I remember. And I felt like Brentford's low block was quite like I felt like Forest found it quite difficult to break that down. And I wouldn't obviously like against a Roy team, like I wouldn't like that's basically what Roy's going to do on Saturday, I think.
Well, we've done it all season, really, so why would we change it now?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I do think like the only thing I would say about like their wingers, like I think I'm actually really gutted that we didn't go in for Hudson-Odoi, especially watching him back. But I think it's very obvious that they want to cut inside, and I'm hoping that our wingers can back up our fullbacks and kind of show them on that outside so they can't cut in. Or if they do want to keep the ball, then they've got to go back. That's what I'm hoping on Saturday. And yeah,
I think I agree, but it'll be hard because I know that Hudson-Odoi is both-footed. Obviously, he shoots mostly on his right foot, but he's still very good on his left. I know Alanga's very right-footed, which is probably something that we can try and exploit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, yeah, like I said, I think because I do have. Wait, let me have a quick look. Do I still have it?
While you have a look, let me pull up the comments. Chris Brass, thank you very much for tuning in. We can see you're a Forest fan. It's nice to see that opposition fans are tuning in. As a Forest fan, well, like everyone else, we have no idea what the lineup's going to be. Well, you're the complete opposite to us because we can predict, we can tell you that what we've said is going to be the lineup for us.
Yeah, I would bet everything I own on what the lineup's going to be. Like,
of course, yeah, bar maybe one player. I guarantee that will be our lineup for the Saturday game. So I think Forest will go all out attack, and Chris is back again with what we said about Dominguez. You said he's right. He trains with the Duracell bunny.
Brilliant. Yeah. Hang on. Share this one. Yeah. So just some other things that I noticed just because I they were in my folder. Talking about like you said about how they play and like how they go very quickly. This was a pass. I think the goalkeeper passed it to this is a Mangala, and then very quickly he turns, passes it over here, and then this player Sangare is in acres of space. 4 players have been taken out. That's something that we've got to be aware of. They're like Sangare and Mangala are very happy to receive the ball and turn, and then very quickly they're in this situation. So you got Elanga over there, Iwani there, Hudson-Odoi there. I think that's Dominguez there, and obviously like that's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. That's 5 on 5 effectively at that point.
And then you can see RHEA in the bottom as well, leaving his marker behind.
Yeah, exactly. And then further on after this, I think I can't remember what chance this was, but over there that's not Aina, that's near Kete. And then you got Aurier also like trying to support. So very quickly, Forest are very good at transitioning and turning defense into attack.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did notice as well is you can't really see it in this, but RHEA when they're like low blocking the ball over here, I guess we'll talk about it a little bit, but it's more relevant for this. But when they're low blocking, when they're sort of mid to low block over here, RHEA kind of stands here and doesn't really press or anything, like even less so than what you were saying earlier. But I think that they do that so that they can use him as a way to like a target man, just to like ping it up to him because he's very, very, very good at holding the ball up. And like you say, all he's got to do is just if that pass comes into him, he's happy to lay that pass very quickly, and then he'll spin and run. And yeah, that's another thing I noticed as well. But in terms of like breaking down a low block, like for example, this was Brentford's low block. Now, who's this? This is Elanga, and then Aurier's actually. This is what I was talking about. Aurier sometimes inverting. Yeah, it's a bit crazy. So again, it's something I wasn't really expecting. This I'm fairly sure is Sangare, and this is who's that? Maybe that's Sangare. Oh, I can't remember. But basically, they're in this position.
I think that the one in the middle is Mangala, and then that would probably Sangare with his hand up.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Oh no. Urier's the one in front, and Sangare is the one in behind. So that's Sangare, and then the one in the middle is Mangala, and then that's Urier on the right. So the fullbacks overlapped.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but it was very like there wasn't. I don't know. I just felt like there wasn't a huge amount of movement. like it's a pretty standard like 4-4. I mean, it is literally a 4-4-2 effectively at that point. And I felt like, I mean, the obvious pass is here, but then all Brentford did was go like that. Like all that player has to do was just step a couple more, and there wasn't really anything here. And I mean, like more clever teams would maybe see that coming. This player would stop the ball, and maybe move back here, and then they pass it there, and then use that to try and get in or something. If they were smarter, but I don't know. I just feel like they'll struggle against the low blocks. And then what happened after this was they passed it there, passed it here, and then it was basically, and then they'll getting passed to the other side, and then the same thing kind of happened. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's not enough clever passing and quick passing to break down a low block, which surprises me considering how good it is when they're breaking, if that makes sense. Only other thing as well, like it kind of goes against what I was saying about the like trying to make Elanga go on the outside, because what happens is that I noticed this a few times. RHEA likes to come to this position here, and then what he'll do is that he'll just pass it, and then he'll just do a first time cross into the box. That's another thing I did notice, and ideally to counter that, I mean, you probably want this player probably a bit closer here just to cover this line. And then you want 23 maybe a little bit closer, especially if they know that he's going to hit it first time. That's what I'd like to see anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, but those are just a couple other like little things that I noticed.
All right, well, let's talk about how we can think. So we've already spoke about how we can defend against them and how they're strong. Let's now talk about how, with our very weakened squad, how we could actually maybe get a draw out of this, or maybe even sneak a win.
I'll never get tired of those graphics. They're so good.
It took so long.
Worth it.
100%, 100%. Do you want to take us through this one, Dan? How we can maybe sneak a win?
Yeah, go on then.
Find some kinks in their armor.
So I'm just thinking. So, like we said earlier, it is a bit difficult to try and work out exactly. Actually, no, I'm going to go on the tactics board. Actually, I won't show the pictures just yet. But yeah, it is quite difficult because I do think that they're quite malleable in that sense, where they will try and change it up. But let's say that we have the ball, which we're probably not going to have. We're not going to have much of it. Let's just, I mean, let's be honest. Roy's never going to play Riedewald there, is he? So the things that I kind of noticed in terms of their defending, I mean, defensively, I actually think Forest are quite good. I think last season they were good. The only things I did notice, so like I said before, let's say we're in this kind of position, I don't know, just chuck players here, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this bit doesn't really matter that much. Let's just say it's something like this. So let's say it's something like that. Like I said, RHEA doesn't really, at this point, so like say beyond the halfway line, so not a high press, kind of like a mid press, I guess, if you want to give it a name. RHEA doesn't really tend to get involved. The reason why I think this is because I think, let's say someone does a crap pass, Sangare wins the ball. I think they immediately want Sangare to, or whoever gets the ball, to hit it straight to RHEA, because like I said earlier, he's fantastic at holding the ball up. And I think that's something that they will look to do, and that's why I don't think he'll get involved. So that leaves the other players. So one thing I did notice was they do seem to set up in a relatively similar-ish way. regardless of what formation that they do put out in that sense. So, and again, there's like I said in the last season's game, the game at Selhurst Park, they have different ways of defending as well. So it's not like, okay, they're in this situation, they're going to defend like this. They've got like a couple of different ways of doing it, and what I mean by as in they'll do it in it's like the other games, as in what I mean is that they'll like these I don't know, various tactics are used at points in the game, if that makes sense. So with this, so one thing I did notice was that when they do kind of come, they kind of come all together with 4. So they kind of drift over this side. And what Cooper will normally do is have the opposing winger kind of over here just to swap, just to stop any switch. And it's the same on the other side. Like I saw Elanga doing this. Like if it was the other side, he'd put him over here to stop any kind of switch. But I noticed it's like they tend to I guess crowd out the player if they can with these 4 players. RHEA, I'm not saying he doesn't get involved. Like I think he probably would, you know, if the situation allows it. But generally speaking, he's not entirely used in this. And then the 4 players just kind of sit like this. Again, obviously it depends on, you know, the players around. Like I'm sure if Eddie's over here and Thingy's over there, then yeah, different things will happen. But that's generally how it is. But one thing I did notice, which I think is quite exploitable, and I'm actually going to get my paint up to show this. Jesus. 2 up against PSG. That's crazy.
Earth is also saying, Forrest, we need to keep an eye on that goal scoring machine, Anderson. Is it EN? No, no N.
Sorry? Oh.
It's
Ian, isn't it?
It's Andersen, not
Andersen. Andersen.
Yeah, Joachim Andersen.
So talking more about this mid press. So this
I know that because I got ripped on Twitter for saying Anderson as well.
It's like what is it, Tompkins, isn't it? Or
no, but Tompkins is just a meme though these days.
Or what was the other? I feel like there's another one I'm missing as well. I can't remember, but
I've got no idea.
But anyway, but this is what I mean by this is their shape. So like for example, RHEA's there. To be fair, I feel like they were a bit passive against Brentford, so probably expecting more beyond like over here. But anyway, the principle's still here. So yes, like I said, RHEA doesn't really tend to do anything, and then they have. Okay, in this case, they got 5 players, but they got the rest of them over here trying to help out, and then the rest are all at the back. Now, the only thing I thought was that because they defend in these 2 groups per se, let's say, so you got your 4 players here, and then you got your 4 players here, and then you got the others all over here, right? I don't know if you noticed, but do you notice this Brentford player over here?
I mean, just about make him out with the Bet365 on there.
Yeah, the picture is terrible quality, so I apologise. But one thing I did notice, I can't remember exactly who passed this, but the ball came back over here. So originally they were in this shape more over here, as in the Nottingham Forest players. They were more over here. And one thing I noticed was that when Brentford had the ball over here as well, and then I can't remember how, but the ball ended up over here. So this drew out this 4 players. But because it drew them out in this kind of, I don't know, time of transition between, I don't know, defensive strategies, I guess, it meant that no one picked up this player here. So all this player did, I can't remember who that is, but all this player did was pass it over here, straight through, down the line, and then I think that's Mbeumo. Mbeumo's in loads of space. Can come inside, you know, if you're a bit, again, I don't think Brentford started the season very well, but, you know, if they've passed it there, maybe this player could have maybe made a run, or this player could have maybe made a supporting run for this player, for Mbeumo, if they knew he was going to get the ball. But that's something I did notice that I think is exploitable from them. Another thing I noticed as well was that sometimes Sangare gets goes man to man. So in this case, I can't remember who it is. I think that's Jensen. I think that's Norgard. I think that's Jensen, but I'm not sure. But either way, point is that he's on one of their pivot players, and he pretty much stuck with him whenever whoever this player is drops over here. Sangare was pretty much following them. So that is something that I could see doing against us. I could see them doing that against, say, Shektakore or Hughes. But having said that, I think there is a way around that, and I'm going to show you that way because they do this as well. So just to go back to my build-up, where is it?
Can I just say that just looking forwards to the preview tomorrow, that combined 11 with a midfield of Sangare, Decore, and whoever we're going to put at number 10, is going to be mental.
It is. No, 100% it is. Where was?
Because to be fair,
that is a very good midfield.
I'm still upset that we didn't try and go for Sangare, man. I've been talking about this guy for how many years?
Ages.
In my transfer weeklies, and still we've done absolutely nothing, and they got him for 30 million.
Yeah, I remember.
For a player like him, that's a bargain.
Yeah, I remember you saying about him for ages, and to be honest, from what I watched back, I think that's a great bit of business. To be honest, I think they've done some really good business. Like I said, like
Hudson-Odoi for 3 million.
Yeah,
Elanga on loan, I believe, or is it?
Not sure actually, but like Olaena, I think is where, you know, whether he's necessarily
on a free, great move.
Yeah, I mean, whether he's first choice or not, like you said, he covers left and right back, and he is decent. But going back to what I said about, maybe they could mark. So let's say they mark Shektakore. Shektakore is like our pivot, and I don't know, Will Hughes playing off him. Well, funnily enough, Brentford actually did that to Nottingham Forest, because Nottingham Forest like to use Mangala quite a lot, like I said earlier, as like a pivot so he can turn or pass back or whatever. Well, they were quite clever to this. So what Brentford thought they were being clever, so they stuck a player, can't remember who that is, stuck a player on Mangala. So what did Forest do instead? Okay, they used that as bait, so then the defenders, the Brentford players were up against him. So, but then what Forest were clever about was that they knew that this player would come over here to try and press when, you know, the goalkeeper is given quite an easy option to pass out. They're anticipating that pass, so they're going to try and go there. But not Tom Cleverley, he's crap. But Dominguez, who is not crap, Dominguez comes in here knowing that this player's running over here, and instead Turner passes it to Dominguez. Can't remember what happens after, but they retain the ball and then they go off. And then I'm
sure that when I was doing research, that the player went over to press the centre back. Dominguez basically let the ball run under his legs, turned and passed it straight to Awoniyi.
Yeah, I mean that sounds about right. Yeah, because I said, like, they in this position they love to try and turn and try and get their attack going. So yeah, that sounds about right. But just to show, like, for us, I feel like we could do that. Like, we could say, okay,
Decore can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hughes and then maybe do that.
Exactly. So I know this is a Nottingham Forest example, but I think that's something that we could execute as well. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the only other thing that is worth really saying in terms of their defense from occasionally Mangala might drop into the back to make a 5, but again, like I said, it's I feel like Nottingham Forest are a very situational team. They don't just stick to one method during the game. They do change it up during the game. So sometimes you might see him drop into there, and sometimes you might not. Sometimes you might even see like RHEA being pushed up a little bit, and then Mangala kind of covering. Like they do have a very interesting way about them, Forest. In that, like, at least for me, I don't really know what's going on half the time. But yeah.
I don't know if it's anything to really talk about, but they are joint top of the league with red cards against them, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
So when they're playing against a team, they've gotten the other team to have them like the joint most red cards. I believe they've got 3.
4.
I think. Is it 4 now?
Oh no, sorry, no apologies. No, you're right. Sorry, you're right. No, so I read their last week's one as one for someone else, but I'm an idiot.
Yeah, that's
no,
they got themselves sent off.
Yeah. No, you're right. Sorry, mate. You are right. Oh no, sorry. No, they've had 2. Burnley and City. At least according to SofaScore, anyway. So against United, they had Joe Worrell sent off against United.
Well, whatever it is, it's in 2 games out of 7 so far this season to get the other team's player sent off. I think that just shows how direct they are and how much other teams also fear at the speed in which they can break and potentially score goals, because they're going to have to make like game-changing tackles, and if you're going to have to do that multiple times a game, you're going to get yourself carded and then eventually sent off.
Yeah.
So it's I wouldn't say it's like a scare tactic, but I'd say it's something that potentially, because we don't have the most pace at the back, we could be in situations where, for example, Wardy would have to make a tackle, which he could potentially get sent off for, and it could happen more than once a game.
Well, to be fair, to back up what you said, again, they Nottingham Forest have the 5th most yellow cards against. The teams that they've played, according to FBref, their opponents have picked up 20 yellow cards, which is the 5th highest in the league. And that's quite mad when you consider the amount of proportionally to the amount of fouls that have been given. There's only been 69 fouls. For example, Aston Villa, who have had 19 yellow cards for opponents, that's from 87 fouls. So, that's a really good point, actually, because that is a really good point, because obviously if they're trying to break and they're producing situations where it looks like a big chance is going to happen and you foul them, then the ref's more likely to give them a yellow or whatever.
And I know that one other stat that I found from SofaScore earlier, let me just make sure that I'm getting this right. So already in this season, obviously it's not that far in, but they concede 1.4 goals per 90 as well, which means that even though they do score some goals, they do like to concede a few as well.
Damn.
Which is quite a lot, quite high already at this point in the season.
Yeah.
To already be quite a way over 1 per 90.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm just having a look at their SofaScore, and they conceded 2 against Arsenal. That's not bad, to be fair. 1 against Sheffield United, 3 against Man United, none against Chelsea, 1 against Burnley, 2 against City, 1 against Brentford.
So they do concede goals.
No, definitely. And I think if we exploit those gaps, like I said, like they do like to split themselves. Like it feels like they're 2 groups when they defend, especially in like a mid block. I feel like if we can exploit that gap,
if we can pass our way out of their press, then they don't really have much left over to defend.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if we're smart about it and we kind of separate those 2 groups, then we can really hurt them. Also, as well, another thing, I don't think their goalkeeper is that good. Like, he's not bad, but I don't think he's that good. So again, that's another thing to think about.
Definitely. I know that Cooper loves to make lots of subs as well. I don't know. I know that Brentford are normally the one that use the most subs in the Premier League, but when I was searching through the games, I've seen that they've used all 5 subs most of the games so far this season. So Cooper's not afraid to change it. He has made a few subs at half-time. So if something's not working, he won't wait to change it, whereas Hodgson will wait until 70 minutes before he does anything.
No, definitely. I started laughing because I'm on FB Ref and I'm just looking at like the amount of subs that they do make, and yeah, you're right. They make the joint second most. They've made the joint second most subs in the league this season. They made 33 subs so far this season.
Out of curiosity, how many have we made?
Well, that's why I started laughing. Right, let me just caveat this, okay? So Chelsea are 5th bottom, and they've made 27. Then it's West Ham, who have made 24. Then it's Man City, who have made 22, which surprised me, actually. Everton have made 21. Crystal Palace at the bottom, obviously, 14.
Oh! See? Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ.
So that's 2 subs a game on average.
I tell you what we are top of, though.
Oh.
Apparently, the starters that for Palace have the most minutes in the league on average. So, as in, like, not getting subbed off.
Yeah.
87 minutes on average.
Ooh. Well, to be fair, who actually gets subbed off? Like, only 1 or 2 players actually get subbed these days, and it's at 70 minutes.
Well, if you think about that, right, we've played 7 games, so that's an average of 2 subs a game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When you compare you know what's funny about that? You know who it is as well. It's Schlupp going off and Eddie going off for Mateta.
Every single time. And
no one else.
Compare that to Forest. They've only not used their 5 subs twice.
Yeah.
When you think about it, because the maximum amount of subs you could have made is 35, and they've made 33. So, and that might even have been the same game. Maybe it was a game where they only used 3 subs. I don't know. So
you never know. Never know. But Dan, finally, let's talk about our score predictions. Normally I throw you under the bus, but I'll throw myself under the bus this time. I'm gonna say it's gonna be hard. Pause. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, and the thing is, I'm not exactly confident we're going to score. I'm going to hope that if we've got Eddie and Mateta, we could potentially score early, because that's going to be the only time we're going to get any impact in this game with both of them up front, and it's going to be early because we saw with the Villa game the impact wore off the further and further the game went on. I don't want to be too negative. In my rational mind, I see us losing. However, I can't predict us to lose. But man, I want to say we're going to lose 1-0. I'm going to go 1-1.
You know what? I was actually going to go 1-1 as well. The thing is, I genuinely what I think will happen in this game is that we'll not have anything going forwards. To be honest, actually, I don't know why I haven't said 0-0, but I feel like Forest will score. I don't know. I'm going to stick with 1-1. I feel like we won't have much going forwards. I feel like we will nick a goal. And then I just feel like we're going to defend and like we're just not going to. And then inevitably we'll probably concede. I just feel like neither team has. I don't want to say that neither team has anything going forwards. I just think we don't really have a lot going forwards because of injuries, because of the lack of depth. But I think Forest will struggle if we decide to go into a low block. I think
our defense is good enough in a low block. Like Gay, Anderson, Ward, and Mitchell. is a pretty solid back line if you're defending deep. And then especially if you've got Decore and Hughes both sitting in front of it as well. Those 6 players in a low block is extremely hard for any team to break down. Like Man City struggle to break us down sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, like obviously if we're in a low block, then that gives less opportunity for like RHEA to run in behind. It gives less opportunity for Elanga to run in behind, to Hudson-Odoi to run in behind, for Dominguez to run in behind.
Well, yeah, we said it earlier, didn't I? They want us to be in a mid block, but if we just drop into the low block, as you said, what Brentford done, they struggle.
I think it will be 1-1. I think we'll nick a goal, but I think Nottingham Forest will score in the way that...
I think they'll score a set piece. That's what I think. Corner or something like that.
I don't think they'll score a corner. I mean, that is very plausible, but I was thinking the thing where I said about when Elanga comes back and then passes it to RHEA, he pops it in straight away, and I think RHEA will score from a header.
Irv says he thinks Mateta and Anderson will score. So he's thinking 2 goals, so we better know what we're saying.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the Fulham. I feel like it'll be very similar to the Fulham game, to be honest.
Pretty dead all around.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a lot.
Yeah, me neither. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. That has been TACT-EAGLE versus Nottingham Forest. Stick around for the preview, which is tomorrow at 7:30, I believe. And Roy's presser by Rich will be out Friday sometime. Game is 5:30 kickoff, isn't it? So the new kickoff time on Saturday.
5:30.
Bit of a weird one, but it's purely for TV purposes, so we'll see what happens. Whenever we're on TV, we are normally trash. So
unless it's a Monday.
Yeah, Monday's the only day we're good on TV. Any other day, just leave it. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. From myself and Dan, big up yourselves for sticking around with us. And as always, up the Palace. Eagles!